I just completed The Horse and His Boy, which is the third Chronicles of Narnia book. And I got to grab my box set. So hang on, I'll read right back. This is the box set. So I'm going to be reading all 7 books. And this is the box set. And they have the books numbered per C.S. Lewis when he was asked what the order of them should be, rather than the order that he wrote them in. So it started with The Magician's Nephew, which was like a prequel. But you should really watch the prequel after you've watched the movie, I suppose. I'm being sarcastic. The Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe really should have been the first book. And this shouldn't have been the third one either, because it feels so disconnected from Narnia world. And I guess he's got a reason why it should be the third book in his head, at least while he was alive with us. But I don't agree with the order so far. The stories, they seem so disconnected, like there's no organization at all. And really, I haven't liked any of them so far, of the 3. Now, that said, The Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe is an absolutely fantastic movie, and they made it based off visuals. And the visuals in this book, The Horse and His Boy, are not really that great. It's primarily set up as a bad Middle Eastern ruler that's got slaves and things and doing bad stuff, and they want to escape him, so they go on a long journey, get away, and then there's going to be this big conflict. And the biggest problem I have with this book is it says for children 8 and up, and of course I'm an adult reading it, but I'm also reading Le Morte d'Arthur, which is the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur stories, and they're intensely brutal, and so is this children's book. So you don't expect to see things in a children's book like, hey, when we attack, make sure you burn all the men alive, and multiple talking about chopping off people's heads, and how a young guy in battle, he doesn't know how to adequately control his sword. He's going to accidentally chop the head off of his horse. And oh, wait, yes, he just chopped the head off of his horse. Besides that, so a lot of violence. It got me thinking about C.S. Lewis, who was friends with J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings, which was so outstanding, and The Hobbit, which is outstanding as well. They went to college together. He also served in World War I, and a lot of the Lord of the Rings, it's very clear, is based on the horrifying situation in World War I that he was involved in. And likewise, All Quiet on the Western Front that I read, which was a enemy, well, it was written by a person from the enemy forces that was in World War I. And that book is just intensely brutal and outstanding for its portrayal of war. A lot of that stuff carries over to Lord of the Rings. And if you read it like it's just a fantasy book, you go, oh, wow, these are some intense battle scenes. But if you realize the guy was actually in World War I, it makes a lot more sense. And I got that vibe off of this too. So I checked. C.S. Lewis did serve in World War I and actually participated in trench warfare. So that's where a lot of this, when I saw that part about, oh, he's too young to be in this, those ones don't make it 5 minutes. I thought, there's a guy that's been in trench warfare that's seen a young guy come into the trenches and get killed real quick. And it's real sad. And he wrote this in the 40s, this book. So he's kind of indirectly dealing with his tragedies that he's went through. But that said, it's not stuff you want to read if you're a kid, probably, about losing horses' heads and people losing their heads and burning all the men alive and all this stuff. It's just not children appropriate, really, I don't think. Besides that, this book in particular, when you start reading it, you're going, oh, this is going to be cool. It's The Horse and His Boy, and you're looking at the pretty cover and all this stuff, and then you realize it's like, no, it ain't like that. It's not like the Black Stallion or something like that. There's a lot of just weirdness in this book that I didn't like it. There's horses that can't talk that are regular horses, and then there's horses that can talk. It's like, why? Okay. Then you got all these obtuse mythical creatures that are participating alongside, the other people. And it's just like, take a bunch of stuff and throw it in a blender and spit it out. Now, that said, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe was a lot simpler than that movie was. And it was basically like, okay, here's the White Witch. She's freezing everything. And then we're going to do this, and she's not going to be in power anymore. And Aslan saves the day. It was a much simpler book, that one was. Matter of fact, I thought, well, how'd they get such a fantastic movie out of this simple frame of that book? Whereas this one is not simple. It's almost too overwhelmingly detailed with all this side stuff going on. And it just becomes burdensome. Like he's trying to prove maybe something that he's, a better writer than, just writing simple kid stuff, I suppose. I don't know. So of the three that I've read so far, The Magician's Nephew by far is the worst one. I didn't like that one at all. Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe was okay. But like I said, the movie was far superior. The director did a great job. And he took the visuals and really just emphasized them more than anything. So where you're just bombarded with this imagery. The book was very simple compared to the movie. And then The Horse and His Boy was just a cluster of too much obtuse, weird stuff. And it was basically just Middle Eastern bad. He's not really Middle Eastern, but you get the vibe that they're portraying a Middle Eastern as a bad guy, which is kind of been viewed by people as racist. And I kind of got that feel too. It's like, okay, there's the Western world, and then there's the Middle East that's not good guys, right? So a lot of people be offended probably about that angle. And I wasn't offended per se, but I did notice it. And then going on this journey that was, all of the Oz books have a journey in them, mostly. Not, I shouldn't say all, but most of them have some kind of journey in there. And this journey was not nearly as satisfying as any of those were. And then at the end, you got a conflict and a bunch of, overly graphic bad stuff happening. And I just don't like this book. And I'm trying to decide, although it seemed like he put more effort into writing in this book, I would say, is it better than Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe? I could see some people saying it's got more depth, but I just don't like the themes, I guess. And I guess it's not as good as Lion, Witch, and a Wardrobe. So I'd have to say Magician's Nephew is the worst one so far, followed by Horse and His Boy. And then Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is a little bit better than those two, but not by a heck of a lot. So far, I've not liked any of them, really. And I've got 4 more to go, and I'm kind of dreading it. So the next one up is Prince Caspian, and they also made a movie out of that one. They only made 3 Narnia movies, and it was basically people lost interest. And my guess is they probably felt like, how are these even connected? Why is there a Chronicles of Narnia when they don't feel like they're even connected to each other? They really feel like different books. How they're coupled by an over title, I don't understand it so far. I mean, I know that there's some of the same creatures and stuff, and they're talking about the land of Narnia in general, but it's not like Oz, where it feels like everything is still kind of Oz. I just don't get the vibe from Narnia. I don't like it so far.